Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, Vancouver's top-rated, best reviewed auto repair service. 38 years of serving all makes and models of cars in Vancouver. How are you doing, Bernie?
Doing very well this morning.
So we're talking about a 2012 Range Rover Supercharged. These are very expensive and very luxurious vehicles. What was going on with this SUV?
Well, it's a Range Rover Sport Supercharged, and the issue is with the supercharger. There's a little sort of subtle clacking noise at the front of the supercharger. You can hear it when you're revving the engine up under certain conditions and certain speeds.
And what was required to fix that?
Well, fortunately, not a complete supercharger replacement. There's actually a piece, nose cone or whatever you want, a nose drive assembly, and inside there's a couple of bearings, and there's a kind of a I'm going to call it a fancy coupler that couples the drive unit to the supercharger. And in that unit, that little coupler tends to wear out, causing the noises.
So what exactly wears inside the drive unit?
Well, let's. Why don't I just get into some pictures and we'll just where do we? We'll start with the vehicle. It's a 2012 Range Rover Sport. Nice wheels. What's not to like other than the gas mileage and some of the repair costs. It's a beautiful vehicle, powerful, sporty, pretty awesome. We'll get into the supercharger. So this is the actual replacement piece. This is a view of the actual new part on the nose cone. This is actually what couples this part to the actual supercharger itself. I'll show a couple more photos, but you can see there's like 3 pins. There's 2 here, one's hidden, and these are on the drive unit. Then this coupler sort of isolates the engine spinning, like the vibrations from the engine with the vibrations of the supercharger. There's 3 pins that fit in here. These are on the supercharger, so that drives the supercharger. So we'll look at this is the old unit, which is. We're looking at a different side of it, but it's quite badly worn in these particular areas here, so that's what causes it. When you feel the front, when you take the belt off, you can feel a lot of play in the supercharger. When you turn the pulley, there's a tiny little bit with the new one, but there's a lot with the older worn out unit. Just a couple more views. This is the top view of the engine with this is the supercharger. Well, supercharger actually sits under here. This is the intake manifold with the intercoolers. But the drive bearing and nose cone, this is with things partially removed. You see that top piece removed. The supercharger sits in the middle here. This is where the actual supercharger blades are located in this area, and this is the nose piece here. So it's a complete replacement unit available from the Range Rover dealer.
So is this a issue with Range Rover?
Well, this engine's actually used. It's a 5-liter engine. It's actually used in Range Rovers and a variety of Jaguar products. And this issue happens to any of this generation of engine. Can't remember the starting year, but it's 2012 up to 2015, somewhere in that range, maybe a little further on either end. But it's not just unique to this engine. And in the repair business, you can often tell how common a problem is. If you call up a dealership and they have the part in stock, that usually, especially an expensive piece, that usually tells me it's a pretty common problem. So it's definitely something we've done from time to time.
And so, since it's a Range Rover, was this an expensive repair?
Oh yeah, it's pretty labor intensive to take the piece off. But the good news is you don't have to replace the complete supercharger. And there are actually bits and pieces available. If one were to take more time to order parts, through different sources than the dealership, you can actually buy some of these parts individually for a lot less money if you have more time on your hands. But I mean, to actually replace a complete supercharger is extremely expensive. But this part, it's still in the $1,000 to $2,000 price range, but much cheaper than a complete supercharger.
And how are Range Rover Sports for reliability?
Overall, they're pretty good, but again, this is a very complex vehicle, so you've got little things like, supercharger bearings and couplers that wear out. There's air suspension. There's a lot of complexity to these vehicles. They're good. And you know, you will expect to spend a lot more money on repairs. Things like brakes wear out pretty fast. It's a heavy, large performance vehicle, so they just tend to wear through brakes and tires, and so there's a price to be paid for having the vehicle, but it's, you know, it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome ride.
And kind of power, what sort of horsepower does this vehicle have?
You know, I don't know the actual horsepower, but when you step on it, it really goes. I love superchargers because the power's so immediate. I mean, turbochargers, a lot of manufacturers, like Mercedes, has stopped using superchargers. They've gone straight to turbos for pretty much everything, and I guess they're more efficient overall. But and you certainly get a lot of power, but there's this immediacy about a supercharger. It's just like when you step on it, it just goes. And so, I mean, it's really kind of fun in this vehicle. It really does move fast for a big, you know, heavy, I don't know, 5,000 or more pound truck. It's pretty awesome.
So there you go. If you need your Range Rover repaired in Vancouver, the guys to call are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112. Or check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com, or our YouTube channel. We've got 4 years of videos on there, including quite a few about Range Rovers. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark.